Hey, this is Rick Kaselich, injury specialist from exercisesforinjuries.com. In today's video, I wanted to go through how to get rapid arthritic pain relief. And the first thing that you need to do is remove unnecessary stress. So if we look at the knee joint and knee pain, one thing you want to do if you end up having knee pain is to do what you can to remove unnecessary stress. And there ends up being two things. So by just standing excessively when you don't need to, that ends up putting unnecessary stress on that knee joint. Other things are just putting that knee in awkward positions, like if you end up standing on one leg and straightening this leg excessively, that ends up putting unnecessary stress on the knee. And it might not feel like very much, but what it ends up doing is causing micro damage to the joint, and it also ends up slowing down recovery of that knee joint. So that ends up being the first thing. Now the second thing, I'll get Donna Lee to end up demonstrating, and what that ends up being is working on the range of motion in the knee. So a lot of times with people with knee pain, they'll end up just stop utilizing their knee. And what you need to do is try to maintain what range of motion you have, and if you can, improve it. So a simple movement to do is just having a seat, just like Donna Lee's doing. Just bring your knee up, bring it a little bit further with your hands, and then bringing that leg back down. So we're working on hip range of motion, but more importantly, we're working on knee range of motion in an unloaded position. So all we're working on is just working on the movement in that knee joint. And you're going to a point where you feel resistance before you go into pain. You're not forcing into that range of motion. Now, if it's too much for you to put your hands, like pull the front of that knee towards you, you can reach underneath and just pull that thigh towards you and back down. Now when it comes to sets, reps, and time, 1 set, 5 repetition. When it comes to time, smooth controlled movement with a good stop at the top for like a second or two. And then lastly, intensity ends up being light. We're working on range of motion. We're trying to stay out of that painful range of motion. Uncomfortable is fine, but staying out of that painful range of motion. And you do it on both sides. So moving on to the third one, we want to strengthen around that knee joint. So a simple exercise to do is utilizing the resistive tubing. And the resistive tubing you can get anywhere. Any department store will end up having it. And you can see Donna Lee loops it underneath her foot. She's bringing the knee up towards her as much as she can, and then she ends up straightening it out. And then coming back as far as she can, and then straightening it out. So we work on range of motion in that knee, but then also we're working on strengthening those muscles around the knee. Good. When it comes to sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets, 1 set, 5 repetitions. Looking at time, smooth controlled movement, end position you're holding for a good stop, so a second or two. And intensity ends up being light. We're working on activating the muscles around the knee and then also working on strengthening the muscles around the knee. So you do 5 on one side and then 5 on the other side. Now, looking at the fourth thing we want to do, we want to work on strengthening above that knee joint. So if we're looking at the knee being the arthritic joint, we want to work on strengthening above it. So you can see Donna Lee lays down on the mat, arms are to the side, bent at the hips, bent at the knees, feet are about hip width apart. Now what she's going to do is push through the mat, lift her seat up until her shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line. And what we're working on is the hamstrings, and we're working on the glutes. So having strong glutes and strong hamstrings end up helping when it comes to decreasing the stress on that knee joint, especially if you have any kind of arthritis in the knee. Now when it comes to sets, reps, and time, 1 set, 5 repetitions, time, smooth controlled movement, and then holding the top position for a second or two. And then intensity ends up being light. We're looking at activating those hamstrings and glutes and then working on strengthening them as well. So that ends up being number 4. Now looking at number 5 is we want to strengthen below. So Donnelly's standing. She can end up putting her hand on the railing or up against the wall in order to eliminate balance, because we want to make sure that we're targeting the right area and strengthening the right area. So she's going to end up doing toe raises. So just coming onto her toes as much as she can and then coming back down. So she's working on strengthening that calf, so strengthening the muscles below the knee, and then also working on the mobility, improving the movement in that ankle joint. And improving the movement in that ankle joint ends up helping when it comes to decreasing the stress on the knee. When it comes to sets, reps, and time, and intensity that Donnelly is doing, sets, 1 set of 5 repetitions. When we end up looking at time, smooth controlled movement, holding the top position for a good stop or a second. And then intensity, we're looking at light. We want to feel that the muscle, the calf muscle is being activated and you're strengthening it. Now, lastly, the last thing that you're going to end up doing is number 6, is what I would really recommend, taking something to help when it comes to your arthritic pain. And the thing that I end up recommending for my clients ends up being something called Joint Complex 4000. In order to get more information about that, take a look down below in the description area and click the link in there. So there you go. That ends up being, how to get rapid arthritic pain relief. Now, if you want some more of my tips and tricks when it comes to relieving knee pain, click right here. I have a brand new free report called 5 Tricks That Fight Knee Pain and Tightness. Click right here. Let me know where to send you that brand new free report, and I'll send you that brand new free report right away. Now, if you're watching this on a smartphone, tablet, then what I recommend for you to do is head down below in the description and click the first link, which will end up being exercisesforinjuries.com/knees. Let me know where to send you that report, and I'll send you that report right away. Now, if you got benefit from this video, make sure to like this video. If you have a question or comment for me, leave it down below in the comment section. And lastly, hit subscribe so you'll end up getting future pain relieving videos.